Welcome to the Happisburgh Coastal Transition Plan 2026. My name's Sue Grime. I work for the Coastal Project as Community Facilitator. Why do we need coastal transition plans? The coast of North Norfolk is eroding, one of the most rapidly eroding coastlines in the whole of Europe. And this is owing to the geology of our cliffs, which are soft sedimentary rocks, which are easily eroded by natural processes from wave action and also from rainfall. So water in the cliffs can also be significant for erosion here. Climate change is accelerating the rate of erosion as well. So we've got sea level rise, which is contributing, and also more intense and frequent storms, particularly in the winter time. So what happens at the coast is governed by shoreline management plans, and the shoreline management plan for Happisburgh tells us what is acceptable for us to do in terms of managing the coast. So in Happisburgh, we have a managed realignment policy, which means that the fences, the existing rock armour will be maintained as long as that's affordable, but beyond that they're encouraging a natural shoreline. Actively to events that happen at the coast, it's better for us to plan ahead so that we're ready, and this causes the least amount of harm to people if they're ready, prepared and resilient. So what is a transition plan? So the transition plans are starting point plans for actions at the coast. So we've created 6 plans working with communities in Weybourne, Overstrand, Trimmingham, Bacton, Walcott and Happisburgh, helping them to prepare for and adapt to coastal change. So what the plans do is they bring together existing information. For example, what do we know so far about erosion? What's the impact? What's historic erosion look like? What can we predict for the future? And what's at risk and what can be done to prepare for that risk? So we are developing together, so we're co-creating with communities. We have regular events and we have small community groups set up within different locations where we're working together to come up with some different ideas and options in order to manage adapting to those changes. So the plan also will set out actions that will be possible in the short, medium and longer term, and will also identify who is best to actually deliver those. So it could be the community-led, it could be led by Coastwise or the local coastal management team. So within the plan, you can see the risk zones, so what's actually in the risk zone over the different time scales. The time scales are short, medium and long term, so within the next 5, sort of 30 or 80 years. And we look at what the impact of those risks are to communities, and not just the immediate impacts, but also the kind of ripple effects of what those, how it's going to affect the wider community as well. So your house might not be at immediate risk of erosion, but actually it can impact the whole functioning of a village if things start dropping into the sea. So we're looking at the work done so far. So for example in Hayes we've had quite a few sort of adaptation actions have been happening since the last project, actually, the Pathfinder. It will also identify who needs to be involved. So for example, if we're looking at infrastructure, we might need to engage with highways, we might need to engage with utilities providers, for example. And the most important thing about the plan is it's designed to evolve. This is a kind of first draft, and it's going to be owned by the community and it will be developed further by yourselves. So this is the risk map for Happisburgh, and in this map you can see 3 different colours. We have a red, an orange and a sort of yellow line, and these are actually showing the worst case sort of climate scenarios, the risk zones based upon those. So essentially if we don't do anything to prevent sort of carbon emissions, this could be the worst case scenario that we might expect. The red zone, that's the most immediate at risk. So you can see, obviously you've got the car park and beach access, some properties around sort of Beach Road, where we've sort of recently demolished some properties there because of the risk. And then looking longer term, we've got the up to the year 2055. So that's the orange zone. Again, these are zones, they're not exact lines, they are sort of best estimate predictions for where the coast might be at those times. So, and then you have the yellow, which is a longer term, which takes us up to the next 80 years to 2105. And this is sort of showing which areas of the village are at risk within that zone as well. If you want to get involved with the visioning, then we do have a table set up for you to come and have a look, or if you're online, you can email us on the Coastwise email address. So within the plan, there are a number of actions that we've already started doing, and these are sort of already underway, but they are already identified in the plan, and they're part of our plan going forward. So we've had a church heritage project where we want to digitally preserve St Mary's Church. We are moving a car park inland currently, and also the facilities, so the toilets and the play area. We are planning a ground penetrating radar survey of the churchyard, which is a non-intrusive way to see the extent of excavations within there. We have purchased the old caravan park manor field for community use, because we learned that the community were really passionate about the space, they really loved that space and they wanted to use it. So we thought it's an important asset to keep for as long as we can. We're looking for ideas actually around how to develop that site, so if you have any, please do let us know. We've been demolishing some properties on Beach Road and supporting the homeowners with some housing options. And we have looked at a survey of Cliffwater, and also a survey on looking at the most effective configurations for the ramp, the beach access, and also the existing rocks. So there's a number of things already happening in Happisburgh, and there's still more to do. So there's different levels of responsibility and agency within the plan. So some things the community won't directly be able to influence, but other things they can. It's a very thorough plan, and there are almost just under 90 actions in the whole plan. So not exactly bedtime reading, but if you want to dig into the detail of how we kind of selected the options, then please do. So what's happened since the plan was written? So we've been liaising with the community through engagement events during the transition process, and with our Coastwise Cafe since 2024, as well as with the group most recently, we've been identifying the sort of priorities that have come out. So we've all looked at the plans, and we've actually thought that some of these are going to be the ones we want to take forward and the ones we need to do first. Looking at land drainage to prevent the cliff slipping from the top, looking at ramp and rock configurations, looking at negative media coverage, for example. And there's also a lovely garden which was left after the demolition of the property on Beach Road, which the community and the former owner have expressed they would really like to make a community garden. So again, if you're interested in forming part of a group that wants to get involved in the garden, and do get in touch with us and let us know. We're also supporting the parochial church council around what will happen to the graveyard, because it's at future risk. We are looking at car park, phase 1 and phase 2, and as previously mentioned, we've got Manor Field also available if anybody has any ideas what they'd like to see happen there. So what happens next is we need to think about who's going to adopt the plan, who's going to take the ideas forward. And we'd really like it to be a community-owned plan with support from Coastwise and the coastal management team at NNDC. So beyond Coastwise funding, we're hoping that the plan will continue to evolve, and that perhaps people within the community and within the parish, for example, might want to keep moving forward with these plans to keep people ready and keep people prepared and resilient for the future. So practical action's already happening, but there's lots more to be done and lots of room within the plan for new ideas and what we want to take forward. To think about when to update and host the plan as well. Currently it's on our Coastwise website, but actually other places could host it too. How can you stay involved? Well, keep in touch with us and come to our meetings. Visit our website to look at our blog posts, get in touch with us, ask us questions anytime that you'd like to, or if you've got any suggestions on comments on the priorities, please do get in touch with us anytime.